"We couldn't get your daughter anything this year," my mom said. Then my sister's kid unwrapped a $600 gaming console I helped pay for. I just nodded, gathered my kids' things, and left. The next morning, my post went viral. And by noon, every family member was scrambling. "Hey Reddit, my family forgot my daughter at Christmas while showering my nephew with gifts bought using my money. So I exposed them publicly, cut them off financially, and watched their perfect image crumble. Here's how it went down. I'm Matthew, 33 years old, marketing director at a mid-sized firm in Columbus, Ohio. For most of my adult life, I've been the person my family calls when they need something. Not when they want to celebrate, not when they're planning something fun. Just when they need money, time, or someone to quietly fix their problems while asking zero questions. The job pays decent, enough that I bought my house at 28, started a college fund for my daughter, and still had enough left over to help my parents with their mortgage when Dad's hours got cut 5 years ago. That temporary help became permanent real quick. Every month like clockwork, I transferred $800 to cover their shortfall. They never asked if I could afford it, never checked if it was sustainable. Just expected it like I was some kind of family ATM that dispensed cash on demand. My younger sister Jessica is 29. She's married to this guy Steven who works sales jobs that never quite work out. They have one son, Patrick, who just turned 7. Patrick gets everything. New bikes, new tablets, season passes to the amusement park, designer clothes, you name it. Meanwhile, my daughter Lily, who's 8, wears hand-me-downs from cousins and plays with toys we find at garage sales. I'm not complaining about our situation. We're doing fine, but the contrast is impossible to ignore. I'm a single dad. Lily's mother left when she was 2, said she wasn't ready for the responsibility, packed her bags one Tuesday morning, and that was it. I've raised Lily alone ever since. Every school function, every bedtime story, every scraped knee, every bad dream, it's been just the two of us against the world. My parents know this. They've watched me juggle work and parenting without a partner. They've seen me tired, stretched thin, doing my absolute best. But when Jessica needs something, when Patrick wants something, suddenly there's always money. Suddenly mom and dad can dig deep and make it happen. The pattern started becoming obvious about 3 years ago. I'd get a call from mom on a Tuesday afternoon. "Matthew, honey, the washer broke. Can you help us out? Just $400. I'd send it that same day. 2 weeks later, Jessica would post photos on social media of Patrick's elaborate birthday party at some indoor trampoline park that cost at least $600. When I mentioned it to mom once, just casually asking how they'd afforded Patrick's party if money was so tight, she got defensive. Jessica saved up for months for that party. Don't begrudge your nephew a nice birthday. But I knew the truth. I'd seen Dad slip Jessica cash at Thanksgiving. Heard Mom talking about covering Jessica's car payment when Steven was between jobs again. They always had money for Jessica's family, just never for mine. Last summer was particularly bad. Dad called saying they needed $900 for emergency roof repairs after a storm. I sent it immediately because I didn't want them dealing with leaks. A week later, I stopped by their house unannounced and found no evidence of any roof work. The shingles looked fine. When I asked Dad about it, he got vague and changed the subject. That same month, Patrick got a new electric scooter that cost $350. Jessica posted about it on her social media, thanking Mom and Dad for being the best grandparents ever. I started keeping records after that, not because I wanted ammunition, but because I needed to understand if I was imagining things or if the favoritism was as blatant as it felt. The records showed exactly what I suspected. In 2 years, I'd sent my parents $19,200. In that same period, Patrick had received a new bike, $200, a tablet, $300, 3 birthday parties, $1,800 total, new school clothes every season, $400, the electric scooter, $350, and countless smaller gifts. Meanwhile, Lily's last birthday party was at our house with 6 friends, homemade cake, and activities I'd planned myself. Total cost, maybe $75. I'm not saying my parents owed Lily elaborate parties or expensive gifts, but the disparity was painful to watch. Lily would come home from visiting Grandma's house and casually mention that Patrick got a new toy just because. When she asked why she didn't get just because presents, I had no good answer. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself I was helping, because that's what family does. The responsible one doesn't complain. The dependable one just keeps showing up, keeps writing checks, keeps being useful. But it did matter. And by Thanksgiving of this year, I was reaching my breaking point. Thanksgiving was at my parents' house, The whole family gathered. Me and Lily, Jessica and Stephen and Patrick, plus a few aunts and uncles. Mom had gone all out with the traditional spread. Turkey, stuffing, 3 kinds of pie. During dinner, Dad raised his glass for a toast. I'm thankful for family, he said, looking directly at Jessica. For children who make us proud. For grandchildren who bring us joy. He didn't even glance in my direction. Didn't acknowledge Lily sitting right there at the table. After dinner, Patrick opened an early Christmas present from my parents. A new winter coat that probably cost $150. North Face with all the bells and whistles. Lily watched from the couch, clutching her stuffed bunny. When we left that night, Lily was quiet in the car. Finally, she asked, Dad, why doesn't Grandma give me presents like she gives Patrick? I wanted to tell her it wasn't about her, that Patrick's parents didn't have money so Grandma and Grandpa helped out more. But that wasn't true, and I wasn't going to lie to my daughter. I don't know, baby, I said, but it doesn't mean they don't love you. Even as I said it, I wasn't sure I believed it anymore. 2 weeks before Christmas, Mom called. She needed $400 for holiday groceries and decorations. The family gathering was at their house this year, she explained, and she wanted everything to be perfect. Magazine-worthy. Instagram-ready. I'm making a honey-glazed ham, doing a whole appetizer spread, and I want to get those nice cloth napkins, she said. Plus, the house needs decorating. You know how it is. I sent the money within an hour. I always do. A week later, Dad texted asking for $350 to fix the furnace. Winter was brutal that year, and they couldn't afford to be without heat. I sent it the same day. When you're the reliable one, you don't ask questions. You just solve problems and move on. But here's what bothered me. In both conversations, neither parent asked about Lily, not once. No, how's school going? No, what does she want for Christmas? No, we can't wait to see her. Just requests for money, followed by quick goodbyes. 3 days before Christmas, I took Lily shopping for presents for her grandparents and aunt's family. We had a $150 budget, which was already tight after covering my own bills and the money I'd sent to my parents. Lily took the shopping seriously. She spent 20 minutes picking out just the right picture frame for Grandma, one with flowers on it because Grandma likes pretty things. She chose a tool set for Grandpa, after carefully reading the descriptions of what each tool did. And for Patrick, she picked out a toy truck with working lights and sounds. Do you think he'll like it? She asked me, holding up the truck. He'll love it, I assured her. At the checkout, the total came to $147. Perfect. We had enough left for wrapping paper and tape. That night, Lily sat at our kitchen table wrapping each present with intense concentration. She used way too much tape and the corners were all wrong, but she was so proud of each one. She made handmade cards for everyone, drawing pictures and writing messages in her careful second-grade handwriting. To Grandma, I love you. Love, Lily, with a drawing of flowers. To Grandpa, thank you for being my grandpa. Love, Lily, with a drawing of tools. To Patrick, Merry Christmas. Love, Cousin Lily, with a drawing of a truck. I watched her work and felt my chest get tight. This kid had such a good heart. She was thoughtful and kind and generous, even though she'd been overlooked her entire life. That night, as I tucked her into bed, Lily asked what I thought Grandma and Grandpa got her for Christmas. I'm not sure, sweetheart, I said honestly, but I'm sure they thought of you. She smiled, satisfied with that answer, and fell asleep clutching her stuffed bunny. I sat in the living room afterward, staring at our small Christmas tree. We'd decorated it together with homemade ornaments and dollar store lights. We'd made paper snowflakes and hung them from the ceiling. We'd baked cookies and left a trail of flour across the kitchen. It wasn't much, but it was ours. It was enough. I felt that familiar weight in my chest. The one that comes from knowing you're doing everything right and still somehow being invisible. Still somehow being the backup character in your own family's story. Christmas morning arrived cold and bright. Lily woke up at 6 a.m. buzzing with excitement. We opened our small pile of presents at home first. I'd managed to get her 3 things. A Lego set she'd been eyeing for months, new sneakers because her old ones had holes, and a book series she loved. Her face lit up with each gift. She hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. This is the best Christmas ever, Dad, she said. That alone made everything worth it. We arrived at my parents' house at 10 a.m. The driveway was already full. Jessica's SUV sat prominently near the garage, gleaming in the winter sun like it was posing for a car commercial. The house looked like a magazine spread, lights twinkling along the roofline, a massive wreath on the door, garland wrapped around the porch columns. Inside, the smell of cinnamon and roasting ham filled the air. Christmas music played from hidden speakers. The dining table was set with those nice cloth napkins Mom had mentioned, plus crystal glasses and a centerpiece that looked professionally arranged. Mom greeted us with hugs, but her eyes barely met mine. She immediately turned her attention to Jessica, complimenting her outfit and asking about her drive over. Dad clapped me on the shoulder with his usual gruff affection, then immediately turned his attention to Patrick, who was running around with a foam sword yelling about pirates. "There's my boy," Dad said, swooping Patrick up. "Ready for presents?" Jessica sat on the couch scrolling through her phone, barely looking up when we entered. Stephen was in the kitchen helping himself to the appetizers Mom had spent my money preparing. The living room was a spectacle. The tree stood 8 feet tall, covered in matching silver and gold ornaments. White lights twinkled perfectly. Presents overflowed from beneath it, stacked in neat piles with elaborate bows and gift bags that probably cost more than their contents. I counted at least 30 wrapped gifts under that tree. 30. We settled in. Coffee was poured. Small talk filled the spaces between carols. Lily sat quietly beside me on the love seat, polite and patient as always. She kept glancing at the tree, at the mountain of gifts, her eyes wide with anticipation. Mom brought out a tray of cookies. "Help yourself, everyone." I made 4 different kinds this year. Patrick immediately grabbed 3 cookies. Lily politely took one and whispered, "Thank you, Grandma." Mom didn't even acknowledge her. Finally, after what felt like hours of small talk about Jessica's new haircut and Stephen's latest job prospect and Patrick's performance in his school play, Mom stood and clapped her hands. "All right, everyone, let's open presents." Patrick bolted to the tree like he'd been shot from a cannon. Jessica joined him, sorting through tags, handing boxes to people. Dad settled into his recliner with his coffee, watching the action with satisfied approval. Patrick tore through his gifts like a tornado destroying a trailer park, each present more elaborate than the last. First, a remote control car that looked like it belonged in a racing video game. He didn't even finish opening it before moving to the next one. Then, a superhero action figure set, the deluxe version with a dozen characters and vehicles. Patrick screamed and immediately started ripping them out of the package. A new winter coat came next. Not just any coat, a Canada Goose parka that I knew cost at least $300. Patrick barely glanced at it before tossing it aside. Then, noise-canceling headphones. The expensive kind. Patrick put them on for 5 seconds, said, "Cool," and discarded them on the floor. A new backpack with built-in charging ports for electronics. A Lego set twice the size of the one I'd gotten Lily. A smartwatch designed for kids. The pile of gifts kept coming. Jessica was taking photos of everything, documenting each present for social media. Dad was helping Patrick open boxes, laughing as wrapping paper flew everywhere. Lily watched all of this in silence, her hands folded in her lap. I saw her glance down at the small gift bag she'd brought with Patrick's truck inside. It suddenly looked inadequate compared to this display of excess. Then Jessica handed Patrick the big one. It was a massive box wrapped in shiny red paper with an enormous bow on top. Patrick's eyes went wide. He attacked it with the energy of someone who'd been promised something special. The paper came off in shreds. The box underneath had a logo I recognized immediately. It was a gaming console. Not just any console. The newest model that had been sold out everywhere for weeks. The one every kid in America wanted. The one that cost $600. Patrick screamed. Actually screamed at the top of his lungs. He jumped up and down, hugging Mom, hugging Dad, hugging Jessica, hugging the box itself. "I got it! I got it! I finally got it!" he yelled. Everyone laughed. Everyone cheered. Jessica was recording video. Dad was clapping. Mom was beaming with pride. "We had to pull some strings to get that one," Dad said proudly. "Called in some favors. But anything for our grandson." I felt Lily shift beside me. She was still watching, but her expression had changed. The anticipation was gone, replaced by something else. Resignation, maybe. Or acceptance of something she'd known all along but had hoped wasn't true. She didn't say anything, just sat there with her small hands folded in her lap, watching her cousin receive his 7th or 8th present while she had yet to receive a single acknowledgement that she existed. I waited. The presents had to be done soon. There had to be something for Lily. Even just one small gift. Even just a card. Patrick was already trying to open the console box, yelling about setting it up immediately. Dad was reading the instructions. Jessica was posting photos online with captions about "Best Christmas Ever" and "Blessed Beyond Measure." Mom started collecting wrapping paper, cleaning up the chaos. She was smiling, clearly pleased with how everything had gone. That's when I realized there was nothing for Lily. They hadn't forgotten to give it to her yet. They just hadn't gotten her anything. At all. I waited another minute, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were saving hers for last. Maybe it was somewhere else in the house. But Mom walked right past us carrying an armload of wrapping paper. She didn't even glance at Lily. I cleared my throat. Mom! She turned, still smiling. Yes, honey. Are there any more presents? Her smile faltered slightly. She glanced at the tree, then at Lily, then back at me. I saw the realization cross her face. She'd been caught. Oh, she said, her voice taking on that apologetic tone that wasn't actually apologetic. Matthew, I meant to talk to you about this. She walked over and put her hand on my shoulder, lowering her voice like Lily couldn't hear her standing 2 feet away. We couldn't get Lily anything this year, she said quietly. Money's been really tight, Matthew. I'm sure you understand. The room didn't go silent. Patrick was still squealing over his console. Dad was trying to find batteries for the remote control car. Jessica was typing on her phone. Stephen was getting more cookies. But everything went silent for me. I stared at my mother. At her apologetic expression that wasn't even genuinely apologetic, more like mildly inconvenienced that she had to explain this awkward situation to me. Money's been tight, I repeated slowly. You know how it is, Mom said, waving her hand dismissively. Bills pile up, unexpected expenses. We did the best we could. I looked around the room, at the 8-foot tree with matching designer ornaments, at the dining table set with crystal and fine china, at the elaborate holiday spread in the kitchen, at the mountain of gifts Patrick had just opened, easily over $1,000 worth, at the $600 gaming console. You did the best you could, I said. I knew you'd understand, Mom said, patting my shoulder. You've always been the reasonable one. I looked down at Lily. She was staring at her lap, her bottom lip trembling slightly. She was trying so hard not to cry, trying to be brave, trying to be good like she always was. That's when Dad chose to look up from helping Patrick with the remote control car. He caught my expression and actually smirked. That condescending half smile that said he thought I was being overly sensitive about nothing. Better she figures out now that life's not fair, he said casually, adjusting his reading glasses. Builds character. Can't shield kids from reality forever. That was it. That was the exact moment something fundamental broke inside me. I stood up calmly, didn't slam anything or raise my voice. Just stood up and walked over to where Lily was sitting. Come on, sweetheart, I said gently, holding out my hand. Let's get your coat. But Dad, she started, her voice small. We're leaving. Jessica finally looked up from her phone, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Matthew, don't be dramatic. It's Christmas. I ignored her. I helped Lily into her coat, taking my time with each button. I gathered the bag of presents we'd brought, the carefully wrapped gifts Lily had worked so hard on. Mom followed us toward the door. Matthew, please don't make a scene. We can figure something out later. I turned to face her at the doorway. My voice was calm, steady. You've sent me $750 in the past 2 weeks alone, but you couldn't find $20 for a single gift for my daughter? We didn't think you'd... That's the problem, I cut her off. You didn't think. You never do. Not about her, not about me, just about yourselves and Jessica and Patrick. Mom's face flushed. That's not fair. We love Lily. You have a funny way of showing it. Jessica got up from the couch, her phone still in her hand. You're really going to ruin Christmas over this? Mom already explained they didn't have the money. I looked at her directly. She's wearing a new sweater that cost at least $80. Patrick just opened a $600 gaming console. Dad bought a new watch I can see from here, but they didn't have money for one present for an 8-year-old girl. That's different, Jessica said defensively. Patrick is what? I interrupted. More important? More loved? More worth the effort? The room had gone quiet now. Even Patrick had stopped playing to watch the adults argue. Dad stood up from his recliner. That's enough. You're upsetting everyone. I'm upsetting everyone, I said. That's rich. This is how you were raised, Dad said firmly. To not expect handouts. To work for what you want. We're teaching Lily the same lesson. You're not teaching her anything except that her family doesn't value her. Mom started crying. Real tears that I knew were designed to make me feel guilty. I can't believe you're talking to us this way. After everything we've done for you. That pushed me over the edge. After everything you've done for me? I said, my voice rising for the first time. Do you want to talk about what I've done for you? Do you want me to list it out right here? Matthew? Mom tried to cut me off. $800 every month for 5 years, I continued. That's $48,000, Mom. $48,000. Plus the random emergency calls. The roof that didn't need fixing. The furnace repair. The car problems. The dental work. The appliances. Dad's face went red. We never asked you to help. You did. Constantly. Every month. And I helped because that's what family does. Then why are you throwing it in our faces now? Jessica demanded. I looked at her. At my younger sister who'd never had to struggle for anything in her life, who'd always had mom and dad's support, financial and otherwise. Because my daughter deserves better, I said simply. She deserves grandparents who remember she exists. She deserves to feel valued. She deserves one present under a tree, overflowing with gifts for her cousin. Lily tugged on my sleeve. Dad, can we go now? I looked down at her. Her eyes were filled with tears. She was still trying not to cry. This brave, kind, sweet girl who'd done nothing wrong except have the misfortune of being born to the responsible son instead of the favored daughter. Yeah, baby, I said. We can go. I opened the door and walked out. Lily's hand was small in mine. Behind us, Mom called out, Matthew, please, don't leave like this. I didn't turn around, just kept walking to my car. As I buckled Lily into her seat, I heard Jessica's voice from the porch. Let him go. He's just trying to make us feel guilty. Dad's voice followed. He'll calm down and apologize in a few days. He always does. That's what they thought. That I'd calm down, swallow my anger, and come crawling back like I always did. They were wrong. The drive home was quiet. Lily didn't cry, which somehow made it worse. She just stared out the window, clutching her stuffed bunny. Finally, as we pulled into our driveway, she asked in a small voice, Did I do something wrong, Dad? That question shattered me. I turned off the car and twisted in my seat to look at her. No, baby, I said firmly. You did absolutely nothing wrong, not one single thing. You hear me? She nodded, but I could see she didn't fully believe it. Inside, I made her favorite dinner, mac and cheese with cut-up hot dogs. We ate it on the couch while watching her favorite movie. She fell asleep halfway through, curled up against me with her bunny tucked under her chin. I carried her to bed, tucked her in, and kissed her forehead. Then I went to my room and sat on the edge of my bed, staring at nothing. My phone had been buzzing all evening. Texts from Mom, calls from Dad, messages from Jessica. I didn't look at any of them. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up my bank records. 5 years of transfers to my parents. $800 every single month like clockwork, plus the extra amounts for emergencies. I did the math. $48,000 in regular monthly transfers. Another $6,300 in emergency requests over the years. $54,300 total. $54,300. I sat there staring at that number for a long time. Then I started writing. Not an angry rant. Not an emotional explosion. Just facts. A simple, straightforward accounting of what had happened today and what had been happening for years. I wrote about the Christmas gifts. About Patrick's pile of presents versus Lily's nothing. About the $600 gaming console. About Mom's excuse that money was tight. Then I added screenshots. Bank transfers showing $800 going to my parents every single month for 60 months. Additional transfers for emergency repairs and unexpected expenses. I included a photo of Patrick with his gaming console, pulled from Jessica's public post where she'd already bragged about the best Christmas ever with hashtags about being blessed. I put it all in one post. No names mentioned directly, no identifying details. Just a simple caption. We couldn't get your daughter anything this year. Money's tight. Below that, 5 years of bank transfers showing exactly where their money had been coming from. I stared at the post for 10 minutes before clicking submit. Then I closed my laptop and went to bed. By morning, everything had changed. I woke up to 47 missed calls, dozens of texts. My phone was vibrating so constantly it had moved across my nightstand. I ignored it and made breakfast for Lily. We had pancakes with chocolate chips, her favorite. She was smiling again, which was all that mattered to me. While she was eating, I finally checked my phone. The post had been shared 1,200 times, 1,200 times in 8 hours. The comments were vicious. People I went to high school with, people from work, distant relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, complete strangers, all expressing shock and outrage at what my family had done. Someone had screenshot the gaming console photo from Jessica's account and posted it side by side with my transfer records. The math was right there for everyone to see. I'd given my parents enough money to buy 20 of those consoles. My mother's charity group friends were commenting. Dad's golf buddies were commenting. Jessica's entire social circle was commenting. Even my boss had seen it. The texts ranged from supportive to absolutely furious. My cousin, holy shit, I had no idea they were doing this to you. My uncle, your father always talked like you were doing fine financially. Didn't realize you were bankrolling them. Mom's best friend, Matthew, please call your mother. She's devastated and won't stop crying. Jessica, you're destroying our family over a Christmas present? Are you serious right now? Dad, take that damn post down right now. We can discuss this like adults. I didn't respond to any of them. Just watch the numbers climb. 2,000 shares. 3,000. 4,500. The post was spreading beyond my immediate network, into local community groups, parenting forums, financial advice pages. People were screenshotting it and sharing it on other platforms. It had become one of those viral posts that takes on a life of its own. By noon, I had messages from people I didn't even know. Parents sharing their own stories of being the family ATM. Adult children who'd been overlooked in favor of golden child siblings. People thanking me for speaking up about something they'd been too afraid to address in their own families. My phone rang from a number I didn't recognize. Against my better judgment, I answered. Mr. Martin, this is Jennifer from the Columbus Dispatch. We're running a story about family financial exploitation and wondered if you'd be willing to comment or share your experience. Local media had picked it up. I politely declined and hung up. That afternoon, all three of them showed up at my house together. I watched through the window as they pulled up. Mom's car with Jessica in the passenger seat, Dad's truck right behind. They looked panicked, furious, desperate. I opened the door but stood in the doorway, blocking entry. Mom spoke first, her voice tight and strained. Matthew, we need to talk, right now. What's there to talk about? I asked calmly. Jessica pushed forward. You humiliated us. Do you know what people are saying? Do you know what this is doing to Mom? She had to resign from the charity board. Do you know what Christmas morning did to Lily? I replied. Silence. Mom tried a different approach, her voice softening. Sweetie, we didn't realize you were so upset. If you'd just talked to us privately, we could have worked this out. Posting it publicly was cruel and unnecessary. I almost laughed. Was $54,300 unnecessary? Was 5 years of covering your mortgage unnecessary? Was the $750 I sent you in the past 2 weeks unnecessary? Both Mom and Jessica's faces went pale. 54,000? Dad repeated, his face reddening. $54,300, I clarified. I have records of every single transfer, every emergency repair, every unexpected expense, every random Tuesday when you suddenly couldn't pay a bill. Jessica stammered, We were going to get Lily something later. We just ran out of time. You had time to buy Patrick a $600 gaming console, I said. You had time to post about it on social media. You had time to plan an elaborate Christmas dinner with my money. But you didn't have time to buy my daughter a single present? Mom's eyes filled with tears. You're being unfair. We love Lily. We made a mistake. This wasn't a mistake, I said. Mistakes are accidents. Forgetting to buy milk is a mistake. This was a choice. A pattern of choices over years that told me and my daughter exactly where we stand in this family. Jessica's anger flared again. You're tearing this family apart over money. You're being petty and vindictive and selfish. I looked at her directly. The family was already torn apart. I just stopped pretending it wasn't. Dad's truck had barely stopped before he was storming up the walkway. His face was red, veins visible in his neck. Enough of this nonsense, he shouted. Take down that post immediately. No, I said simply. You've embarrassed us in front of the entire town. My clients are asking questions. My boss saw that post. Good, I said. Maybe they should know the truth. You ungrateful... Dad started, but I cut him off. Do you remember what you said to me on Christmas morning? I asked. About Lily needing to learn that life isn't fair? About building character? Dad faltered slightly. I was just trying to teach her. You weren't teaching her anything except that her family doesn't value her, that she's worth less than her cousin, that she doesn't matter. Mom reached out to touch my arm. Please, Matthew. We can fix this if you just take down the post. We can move forward. Family forgives. I stepped back from her touch. Forgiveness requires acknowledgement. Apology, real change. None of which any of you are offering. You just want the embarrassment to stop. We do acknowledge it, Mom insisted. We're sorry. We should have gotten Lily something. You're sorry you got caught, I corrected. You're sorry people are talking. You're not sorry for what you did to an 8-year-old girl on Christmas morning. Jessica tried another angle. What do you want from us? You want us to grovel? You want an apology? Fine. We're sorry. There. Are you happy now? I want you to apologize to Lily, I said firmly. Not to me. To her. She's the one you hurt. They exchanged glances. Dad's jaw clenched. Jessica looked away. Mom opened her mouth, but no words came out. That's what I thought, I said. We'll call her. Mom started. No, I interrupted. If you want to apologize, you do it properly, face to face, and only when you actually mean it, not when you're trying to do damage control. Dad's face had gone from red to almost purple. You think you can make demands? After what you did to us? After humiliating your own parents? I told the truth, I said calmly. If the truth humiliates you, maybe that's something you should think about. I always knew you were selfish, Dad said bitterly. Your mother and I did everything for you, and this is how you repay us? Everything you did for me? I repeated. Should we talk about everything I've done for you? 5 years of mortgage payments? Or should we talk about how you barely noticed I existed until you needed money? That's not true, Mom protested. When's Lily's birthday? I asked suddenly. Mom blinked. What? Lily's birthday. When is it? There was a long pause. Mom looked at Jessica. Jessica looked at Dad. None of them answered. It's June 14th, I said quietly. She turned 8 this year. You sent a card 2 weeks late with $20 in it. Patrick's birthday is September 3rd, and you threw him a party that cost $400. More silence. You don't even know my daughter, I continued. You know Patrick's favorite foods, his favorite shows, what size clothes he wears, but you couldn't tell me Lily's favorite color if your life depended on it. That's not fair, Jessica said weakly. We see Patrick more often. You see Patrick more often because you make time for him. You've never once asked to spend time with Lily. The truth hung in the air between us, heavy and undeniable. Mom was crying now. We can do better. We can change. Just give us a chance. I've given you 8 years of chances, I said. 8 years of watching you ignore my daughter while doting on my nephew. 8 years of sending you money while you treated us like we didn't exist. I'm done giving chances. So that's it, Dad demanded. Dad, you're just cutting us off? I'm protecting my daughter, I said firmly. That's my job as a parent. Something you seem to have forgotten how to do. Jessica's voice rose. You're going to regret this. Family is everything. You can't just walk away. Watch me, I said, and closed the door. I stood in the entryway, listening to their raised voices outside, muffled arguing, blame being thrown around. Eventually, car doors slammed. Engines started. I watched through the window as they drove away. Lily appeared beside me, holding her stuffed bunny. Is everything okay, Dad? I knelt down and looked her in the eyes. Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Sometimes family doesn't treat us the way they should. But you know what? We're okay. We're always going to be okay. She hugged me tight. I held her and felt 5 years of weight lift from my shoulders. Over the next week, the post remained online. The shares eventually slowed, settling at 18,000. The story had spread far beyond my small town. A local parenting blog ran an article about family dynamics and financial exploitation, citing a recent viral post that everyone knew referred to my family. My mother quietly stepped down from her charity board position. My father stopped showing up to his golf club. Jessica deleted all her social media accounts entirely. I received hundreds of messages from strangers. Parents who'd been the family ATM for years. Adult children who'd finally set boundaries with exploitative relatives. People thanking me for giving them courage to speak up. I appreciated the support, but that's not why I'd done it. I'd done it for one person, my daughter. 3 days after the confrontation on my porch, an envelope arrived. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note from my mother. Short, to the point. I'm sorry for what happened at Christmas. I didn't realize how much you'd been carrying all these years. I hope someday we can talk. Mom, it wasn't the apology Lily deserved. It wasn't real accountability, but it was something. I folded it and filed it away. Maybe one day I'd respond. Maybe I wouldn't. I canceled the automatic $800 transfer to my parents. Watching that change take effect in my bank account felt surreal. That money went straight into Lily's college fund instead. $800 every month toward her future, toward opportunities, toward a life where she'd never have to feel invisible or less than. Lily adjusted quickly. She didn't ask about Grandma's house, didn't ask when we'd visit. Kids are resilient like that. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.